this is the thing that they're building with what's called 15-minute cities. Right?
Yes.
You will not be able to purchase out of your 15-minute radius of your house. And you're like, well, they can't make me do that. I'll just go do it anyway. Well, fine. Go outside your 15-minute radius, which, by the way, they can tell your location, certainly with just even your cell phone. But your money will shut off. Once you make it past that geofence, it will shut off. You can't do anything economically past 15 minutes from your house.
Welcome to the Tipping Point Show. I'm Jimmy Evans, and I have joining me again today Pastor Billy Crone. And we're going to be talking again today on this program about his book and his documentary, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Coming Mark of the Beast. This is a fascinating topic that we're talking about today, and I want you to stay tuned. Before we go to that interview, let me just say we have our conference coming up on September the 16th at Fellowship Church. Grapevine, Texas is a part of the Metroplex here. It's 5 minutes from the DFW airport if you're flying in. We would love to have you join us at our conference this year. Pastor Billy Crone is going to be speaking there, as well as Pastor Ed Young, who is the pastor of Fellowship Church. Dr. Tony Evans, a Bible scholar and an end-time scholar, will be joining us this year. Dr. Mark Hitchcock, Rabbi Jonathan Kahn, myself will all be there, and it's going to be a tremendous day of learning about Bible prophecy, being encouraged in the Lord, learning about all the things that God is doing in these times with some very gifted speakers and pastors. And so we want you to be a part of that. Go to endtimes.com, sign up for this year's conference. We have reserved seating. So you can go on there, you can specifically reserve your seat or seats regarding how many, depending on how many people that you're bringing. If you're a paid subscriber to endtimes.com, you get a 50% discount. So it's a wonderful thing. We also have streaming. And so if you want to stream in at home or at your church, that's also available on there. And as a paid subscriber, you get a 50% discount. Now, remember now, when you sign up, be sure when you come to the conference, you use the email address that is associated with your endtimes.com subscription. We would love to have you be a part of this year's conference. It's going to be powerful. So go to endtimes.com and sign up right now. Pastor Billy Crone is a regular guest here on the Tipping Point Show. He is the senior pastor of the Sunrise Bible Church in Las Vegas, Nevada. In addition to being a pastor, he's also a gifted author, conference speaker, and teacher. He's written many books on the end times, produced many documentaries, and today we're going to be talking about his new book, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Coming Mark of the Beast. Billy, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you, Pastor Jimmy. Great to be
here.
Well,
you're just fascinating on the last program. If you didn't see the last program, you need to listen to it because it was absolutely fascinating. So this is a book and a documentary. And so if people are interested, which you should be interested, because this is what's happening in the world right now, and this is setting up the mark of the beast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm convinced, absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things that is setting up the mark of the beast is what's happening economically in America and in the world. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, again, back to Revelation 13, that's the proof text, right? It's not a conspiracy theory, but God warned nearly 2,000 years ago there's going to come a time when two people, false prophet and the Antichrist, the beast, are going to take control of the planet, including economically, to where the point is where they would be able to control the buying and selling on the planet. And it'll be tied in biometrically, is the modern vernacular for that, with a marks in the right hand specifically or in the forehead. So if that's going to happen, then you have to basically have the ability to control the economies around the world, right? That was written 2,000 years ago. Well, guess what? That's been in place for a long time.
Right.
We already have a global bank. We already have a global lending institution, the International Monetary Fund. We already have a global, if you will, strong arm to punish people who don't obey these global economic rules and things of that nature. So the infrastructure has been there, and that punishers the World Trade Organization.
Right.
And so, but then, okay, well, then Revelation 13 says you're going to make buying and selling with basically your body parts. Well, obviously that to me would imply a cashless society, because what are you going to do? Take $20 to your right hand, and, or put it all on your forehead? And no. So obviously it's some sort of electronic marking system. That's common sense. And that's been in place for a long time, a cashless society. In fact, for the first time in history, we're now seeing whole countries go cashless. One of the far regions, they're not the only one, but one of the farthest ones is Sweden. Sweden right now is 99% cashless.
Right.
And they just completely get rid of it. And then Sweden is already taking the next step. Then they're having microchip parties. So they're used to doing cashless.
Yes.
But they're already going to the next step, and they're big on the microchips, because now I could just wave my hand. I got used to doing it cashless in my hand with a chip and a card. I've been used to, oh, forget that, I'll just use the chip in my phone. Now they're skipping it and doing the chip, and now I can do it with my hand. So it's like a frog in a pot. Warm this up to it. The Bible's the only book on the planet that tells us where it's headed. So, but then again, well, wait a second. So they have their version of that. So at some point, you're going to have to unify. They've already got the infrastructure. We're already seeing people line up all over the world, whole countries even, to go cashless. But how are you going to unify it? Well, that's what's being done as we speak. The Klaus Schwab and the gang, they're what they call the fourth industrial revolution that they're building, which really should be called the Fourth Reich. They also call it the Great Reset. And that reset on the one side is an economic reset. And admittedly, they want to tie all the world's planets, all the world's economies into a cashless society. They want to reset it, the Great Reset, and they will control it all for our supposed good. And that's what they're doing around the planet right now. In every major developed country, what they're pushing for now is a digital currency.
Right.
And not just a digital currency, but a digital currency that can be completely controlled, not just biometrically, but based on a person's compliance to these guys. Now, believe it or not, China has been a test bed for this for many years. It's called the social credit scoring system that they've had in place for years. And if you look at that, it's not just a digital economy over in China, cashless, but your behavior is monitored.
Yes.
It's the other half of this thing. You don't get to buy and sell if your behavior doesn't comply with the government. And this has been out there for years, and I think they're working out the bugs on it. And basically, in Asia right now, if you say anything bad about the government, you're in big trouble economically. You can't fly a plane, can't board a train, you can't get a loan.
Yeah.
And it isn't just you got to listen and do what the government tells you to do, or if you speak out against them. It's what you post on social media.
Yeah.
It's who you hang out with, because they can see you through the CCTV camera system. And even things like if you jaywalk, or if you let your dog go to the bathroom and you don't clean it up, you get punished economically. That's the power of going to a cashless society.
This is true. This is what's happening in China right now. And I saw, Billy, in one article I read, if you went to the grocery store and bought water versus liquor, if you buy water, you get a plus. If you got a liquor, you get a minus.
Yeah.
And everything you're saying, they're monitoring everything through the electronic digital currency.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and here's another thing. This is what's creepy. You think that's bad enough? They will reward you over there if you turn in somebody that you saw doing something bad.
Nazi Germany.
That maybe they didn't. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you're going like, well, too bad for China. Well, guess what? This is what's going on that people need to realize. It's going all over the world, including here in the United States of America. It's called the CBDC. Of course, they don't call it the social credit scoring system, because people are starting to catch on to what's going on in China. But basically, Klaus Schwab, and it's also on tape that he admits that China is basically a role model, and he admits that they're the next world superpower. So I think they're working with China, and that they're basically the test bed. But they basically want to bring the China model to the whole world. The term that's out there, if you want to check it out, is called techno-communism. Techno-communism. And basically what's going on in China, they want to bring to the planet, right? And you think, well, that'll never happen here. Well, it's already happening. Go back to what we talked about in our last interview. Who's Klaus Schwab's favorite disciple on tape? Mr. Biden, right? Biden was brought in to purposely destroy the American economy. And you're going like, well, why would he do that? Because what's Klaus's goal? He wants to reset the global economy. Well, if you're going to reset the global economy, make it cashless and control the whole thing, then you got to get rid of the current one. Well, who's the current reserve for the global economy? What does the world economy revolve around? The U.S. dollar.
That's right.
So if you're going to reset it, what do you got to do first? Get rid of the U.S. dollar. That's why Biden was brought in. That's why the very first thing he did when he got in office was what? The very first day, shut the pipelines off. He began to do things to purposely hurt our economy, destroy our economy, and he hasn't stopped yet. And this is a misnomer. I mean, I get it. The guy's, has trouble reading a cue card and he fumbles whatever. But people, they kind of like, oh, he's just making dumb decisions. No. He's not just making dumb decisions. He's making deliberate decisions to deliberately destroy our economy because he works for Schwab, and you've got to destroy the American economy before you can reset the global economy.
Well, they're trying right now, Billy, on this deal to the debt limit ceiling and all that stuff. They're wanting to spend trillions more dollars, even after COVID and after all the inflation that we have right now. They're wanting to continue to pump dollars in there, and any reasonable person just says like that, you're destroying the economy.
Right. Well, and guess what? They are. And here's what people need to realize. They're doing it on purpose. Because once you see who they're working for, Schwab, and once you see his end game plan, reset, it all makes sense. And that's why I use this, one guy shared an acronym with Biden's name. I think it's very descriptive of what he's really doing. People think, oh, he's just making dumb decisions. No. Biden apparently stands for, he says, bumbling imbecile destroying entire nation. But see, really, that's what he's doing. And again, we talked about this a little bit last time. This isn't a Republican-Democrat issue.
Right.
I'm not here to say whatever, because if anything we learned with the last administration, it goes on both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely.
Drain the swamp.
Absolutely.
So I'm not here to just, you're just being anti-Democrat. No, I'm pro-truth of what's going on in the world. In fact, if you want to go even deeper, and we do in this documentary, Klaus Schwab has been training people, including Biden, for years. And he's planted them for the last 50 years in every major developed country in the world. That's why the world had such a uniform procedure when it comes to the COVID pandemic. That's why the world right now has the same procedure when it goes to a digital currency. Every major developed is doing it because they're working for Schwab. But my point is, we bring out, it's both sides of the aisle.
Yes.
Pastor Jimmy.
Yeah.
Democrats, are trainees of Schwab, but so are the Republicans.
Absolutely.
A lot of them. So I don't want people to get sidetracked. Oh, you're picking on Biden. No, you're missing the point. We need to deal with the facts. And the facts are this guy's working for Schwab. But here's my point. So he's deliberately destroying the economy because you have to do that to reset it. But here's my point. What about this digital currency? Pastor Jimmy, he already signed, and I encourage people to check it out. An executive order is 14067. And this was last March, over a year ago now, that he signed that, and basically it paves the way for when the right crisis comes along, we can switch in America to a digital currency so that this will never happen again. It will guarantee that we're not going to have, whatever crisis it could be. It could be an economic crisis, it could be another pandemic, it could be, Klaus is big on this, he's always talking about a cyber pandemic, whatever, things of that nature. But whatever it is, it'll become an excuse to, see, we're going to switch. But the misnomer is, this has been pre-planned, and this is what the other countries are doing. Now, of course, you can't call it the social credit score system. You can't say, hey, it's basically techno-communism, what China's doing, and it's going to control every aspect of your life. You can't say that. It's too obvious. So the term out there now, what they call this is the coming digital dollar. Some of the terms out there is called Biden bucks. But the other term that people might hear of, it's called CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency.
Right.
The reason why it's central bank is because everything will be digital, but there will be a central bank, basically a main hub, that will be tied together with every financial institution, and they will literally monitor in real time every single transaction you could think of.
Yeah, and see, right now, so somebody comes to my house and they do some work, and I give them a $100 bill or $200. Well, they may report that to the income tax, they may not.
Right.
That won't be an option in the future. When you have digital, they know exactly where all the money's going. They know exactly what you're spending it on. And so, Billy, just imagine that you have all this money in digital currency, and you say, I want to give $2,000 to my church, or I want to give $2,000 to this pro-life group, because there is in the Justice Department of the United States right now, they have weaponized the FBI, they've weaponized the Justice Department to go after pro-life groups, to go after Christian groups and things like that. Imagine that they had the digital dollar to track all their behavior and all that kind of stuff like that. So it puts the control you have with cash, and many of us use digital currency right now, online banking and things like that. But when you introduce this central bank digital currency, you are giving control at a massive level that's never been there before.
Oh, absolutely. I fully agree. And that's why we're trying to blow the whistle on this, because basically, not to again, I don't believe I'm using hyperbole, but if we're still alive and still here and the rapture hasn't happened, and if they get this digital currency, even here in America under Biden, into play, Pastor Jimmy, it's game over.
Yeah.
They will and people say, well, who cares about cash? I already use cash. I hardly ever use cash. And I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
It's very rare for me to use cash. It's not what we're talking about. When it's truly only digital cash as your only option, they'll control every aspect of your life. Let me give you an example. This is what comes with this new digital currency, the Biden bucks, whatever you want to call it. The China model is really all it is. They'll do everything that they're doing in China, but now it'll be here in the United States of America. For instance, you speak out against the government, anything that they don't like, any of their policies, the current administration, whatever, social media, cell phone, texting, whatever, because they monitor it all, you'll be punished. And they'll go like, we'll either freeze your money or, oh, we just took half your money. Don't do it again or we'll take it all. And they go, they can't do that. It's digital now. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just one thing. Let's say you go to the store and you say, I'm going to buy what I want. No, you won't. Remember, what's one of Klaus's big things that people do? They say, oh, he'll never do that. You will eat less meat. Right? Remember that? People go, oh, yeah, this is Texas. You ain't going to tell me I'm going to eat steak, right? I'm going to eat cow. Right? Not if it goes digital. Yeah. Because they will control, and they already do it, they control all your purchases, and you're only going to be given a monthly allotment. And if you go there, even though there is a steak before you, the transaction will not go through because you already hit your monthly allotment. Oh, yeah. So they'll control your food purchases. They'll control your behavior online, out what they see in public, just like the China model and things of that nature. It gets worse than that. They will create what's called geofencing with your money. And this is all admitted. And geofencing is basically, you sit there like, well, okay, that store won't let me, but I'm going to go over here and, whatever, or try to get this or buy it, or I'll go visit somebody. This is the thing that they're building with what's called 15-minute cities. Right?
Yes.
You will not be able to purchase out of your 15-minute radius of your house. And you're like, well, they can't make me do that. I'll just go do it anyway. Well, fine. Go outside your 15-minute radius, which, by the way, they can tell your location, certainly with just even your cell phone. you.